Hello everyone, so this is GS Mains Paper 2, November 2017, Part 2. So let's start. Okay, so the thing is, we have done up until 5 topics, right? So the sixth topic is Kafala system and Pravasi Bharatiya Bima Yojana. It can be kept under topic 15 to 19 IAR, international relations, and within that particular topic IAR, you have Indian diaspora, you have international institutions and all those things. So it will be under Indian diaspora, right? So the thing is, see, what is this whole issue all about? More than 50% of total remittances to India is sent by migrants in Gulf countries. But what is happening? The pernicious Kalfa system, which is prevalent across Bahrain, which is a small island country, right? Kuwait, bigger country than Bahrain, but again, it is a small country. Saudi Arabia, the biggest of the country in the West Asia, and UAE. So what happens? These Kafala system, which is prevalent across Bahrain, Kuwait, Saudi Arabia, and UAE, it precludes workers from protesting their low wages or poor living conditions for fear of being deported. So in that scenario, what is Kafala system doing? Kafala system is hindering Indian workers from complaining about their living conditions and their working conditions, right? Because in that scenario, what the employers are saying that they will be deporting him. Now, even if they're not saying that, they are creating scenarios where workers are fearing that if they do something or if they tell about their working condition, they will be deported. So this is all a Kafala system. You can read more about Kafala system, but again, there's no need to do PhD. We need to understand what are the issues which are confronting Indian diaspora in different areas, and West Asia. It is not Middle East. Middle East is it is for USA. We should be calling it West Asia, right? It is West Asia for us. So the Indian migrants who are there in West Asia, right, they are contributing more than 50% of the remittances. So we need to understand their issues, right? Shia-Sunni conflict or whatever sectarian conflicts is happening there. So that is an Arab Spring. All these things are increasing the turmoil or increasing the instability in that particular area, and that is affecting Indian migrants also. And one such issue is Kafala system also. Now, the thing is, in these scenarios, there is a need for a social security for all these people. So for that purpose, Indian government has provided Pravasi Bharatiya Bima Yojana. What is it? It is a comprehensive insurance scheme, right, which is in place for those going abroad, which is mandatory for grant of immigration clearance. So in a way, Pravasi Bharatiya Bima Yojana is providing social security to all these people, right? So that is the whole thing. So now you know something about Kafala system. You know about the issues confronting migrants in West Asia, and you know how much percent of remittances these people are contributing. Otherwise, this remittances thing is very popular. Most of the people know it, but now you know a basic idea of all these things, which you can write in your paper, right? So again, let's move on to the next topic. So the next topic is Commonwealth grouping. What is the relevance of Commonwealth grouping? Maldives has exited in 2016. Before that, in 2013, Gambia has exited. So we'll try to understand what is Commonwealth grouping and what does it constitute, what is its relevance, what are demerits and merits also. Because if somebody asks you to write about demerits, you can write a lot of things, but merits, we'll talk about merits also, right? So Commonwealth grouping was constituted by London Declaration in 1949. It right now comprises 52 member states, which are mostly former territories of British Empire. Now, the thing is, there was a Commonwealth Charter which was adopted in 2012, which identifies 16 core values and principles, which are, among them are democracy, human rights, good governance, etc. So all these are jibber jabber. We don't need to understand or remember all these charters and all these 16 core values. We need to understand whether these values which they are writing in their charter, whether they are actually adopting them or not, right? But what is happening? Human rights group have accused Commonwealth of soft peddling the human rights abuses of Sri Lankan government regime. What is soft peddling? Soft peddling means they have played down whatever minority Tamil are being facing in Sri Lanka. So they have not taken or they have not accused Sri Lanka of that, right? So that is the main thing. And human rights groups are accusing Commonwealth of that. This is one of the major issues of Commonwealth grouping, right? One of the major issue, right? What is the other issue? The other issue is resource constraint. They don't have much resource, right? Resource constraint is happening because not all of the countries are contributing, right? But even if they're contributing, the contribution is very meager. So resource constraint is another major hindrance in ensuring the effectiveness of institution, right? Okay, and also what is happening? So we are not right now. What we are doing, we are trying to understand the problems confronting Commonwealth, right? So we have talked about two things, like they have not taken any action on Sri Lanka when minority Tamil rights were being curbed. Again, they have resource constraint. And the third thing is they are duplicating actions which are already performed by organizations such as UN. And Gambia withdrew in 2013, describing Commonwealth as neo-colonial institution. So Gambia withdrew in 2013, and they have said that it was a form of neo-colonial institution, right? It is nothing but a reminder of colonial, a colonial institution in a new format, right? That is neo-colonial institution, right? So Gambia withdrew in 2013, Maldives withdrew in 2016. So this is happening. So now we are understanding what are the demerits associated with Commonwealth grouping, or what are the limitations. Now let's understand the relevance of it. What are the merits of it? Why it is still here, right? Because if a certain institution only had demerits, then people or countries will refrain from joining it. But there are 52 member states in Commonwealth grouping, so there has to be some merits. So let's understand the relevance. So there are three major relevance. First relevance is Commonwealth is the only international organization which has suspended its members for violation of its basic values of democracy and good governance. And what is the example of it? In 1999, it suspended Pakistan following military coup there, right? So it's not like it is just for namesake. Commonwealth group or Commonwealth grouping, they have suspended their members in the past also if they have violated basic principles, right? So this is the first relevance, right? So they are an active organization, unlike UN, where US is dominating major of the areas, right? So right now we are seeing US invaded Iraq, nothing happened. US is hobnobbing other countries, nothing is happening. US has withdrawn from Paris climate change, nothing is happening, right? But unlike UN, Commonwealth has done certain things, right? So you cannot say that it is an idle institution, right? Again, this is major thing. You cannot you have to write it in your own words. So this is the first point, right? Second point is it provides a space where big and small nations can speak as equals, and it encourages developing members to raise their standard of democracy, rights and governance. So India is a member of Commonwealth grouping, right? Similarly, Sri Lanka is a member. Similarly, Gambia, which was a very small country, was a member. So all the countries are equal. They speak as equal. They participate as equal. So that is another benefit of Commonwealth grouping. And what is the third benefit or third relevance? It straddles the North-South divide in a world with an immense diversity of races, religious cultures, geographical spread. Means there are so much diversity, and it straddles that North-South divide, right? Hence, Commonwealth is useful form for dialogue and promoting understanding on global issues and forging consensus on a smaller scale than UN, right? So it is a very important institute right now also, right? Because here there's no such thing like third world country, first world country. North-South divide has been bridged. So again, and it is suspending members also, right? Again, it is encouraging a space where there's no demarcation between big and small countries. So all these are the relevance of Commonwealth grouping in the current scenario, right? Okay, but again, UN is still important, right? Commonwealth grouping cannot take place of UN, right? UN is incorporating all the 195 countries, right? But Commonwealth grouping is a smaller, it has a smaller scale than UN, and it has a certain meaning of its own, right? So that is the whole thing. Okay, let's move on to the next topic. So the next topic is section 309 of CrPC, Criminal Procedure Code 1973, and cases involving politicians, right? It can be kept under topic 5 Parliament and topic 6 Judiciary. So let's talk about it. So under section 309 of CrPC, which provides for a speedy trial, once the examination of witness begins, the court should hold day-to-day hearings until all listed witnesses are examined. So that is the provision of section 309, that if examination of witnesses is beginning or has begun in a specific case, then court should hold day-to-day hearings in which all listed witnesses are examined. But the thing is, this provision is hardly adhered to. Merely complying with this may significantly expedite cases involving politicians, and in that case we may not need these special courts for politicians. Right now, in the previous video I have talked about special courts for politicians, right? That Supreme Court has directed for constitution of special courts, right? But again, if we adhere to this section 309 of CrPC, there may not be a need for special courts, because in that case we will expedite the cases, right? But this section 309 of CrPC is hardly adhered to, and there is a need for other courts, or for even all courts at all level or all hierarchy, to adhere to this section 309 of CrPC, right? Okay. Now let's talk about Indian democracy and education system. See, 1 in every 12 person in the world is a young Indian, right? Now let's talk about certain vision of some of India's foremost education thinkers and what should be the way forward of our education system, right? So the thing is, Gandhi's vision of education was freedom, or Aurobindo. So Gandhi's vision of education was freedom. If you're free, you are educated. Aurobindo's vision of education, Aurobindo Ghosh vision of education was a mean of, or was it according to Aurobindo Ghosh, his vision of education was a means to higher consciousness and of integral education, right? If you have attained higher consciousness, if you're conscious within yourself what is right and what is wrong, then that is education for you. And that was Aurobindo's vision. What is Tagore's vision? Rabindranath Tagore vision. So Rabindranath Tagore's vision of education was the realization of one's own potential. If you realize that you can crack IAS and you're worthy of it, then that is education for you according to Rabindranath Tagore. And what was Ambedkar's vision? So Ambedkar's powerful vision of education was the essence of a modern and just society, and indeed it was indeed a first step in his message to his followers: educate, organize and agitate. So that was his vision of education was a just society. Now in current education system, which is totally flawed, what we need an amalgamation of all these visions. Only then we can create a proper education system and we can bridge the gap between education, employability and employment, right? So that is the whole scenario. Okay, so maybe you can incorporate all these visions and then you can talk about the need for amalgamation. Fine. Okay. Okay, so there were certain one-liners. Asian tigers. Now, Asian tigers are also called Asian dragons, and there are 4 Asian tigers. Who are they? Hong Kong, which is a special administrative division of China, Singapore, South Korea and Taiwan. Now Taiwan is also called Republic of China, whereas China is called People's Republic of China. So PRC is China and Republic of China is Taiwan. So these are 4 Asian tigers. And why they are 4 Asian tigers? Because between 1960 and 1990, they have attained a very high level of growth, right? And they are all now major developed economies. So these are 4 Asian tigers. Again, Hong Kong, Singapore, South Korea and Taiwan. Okay, now nosocomial infection. What is nosocomial infection? It is hospital acquired infection, right? So that is nosocomial infection. It can be of various forms, right? Again, if you people watch Big Bang Theory, there was a specific episode in which Sheldon entered into a room and he caught certain infection, right? And it was a I'm not specifically remembering it, but in certain radiation thingy he went. So that was also a kind of nosocomial infection. That is hospital acquired infection. But generally hospital acquired infection is not that of radiation. Simple, like if you catch infection and all those things, that is also a kind of a because beds are dirty, they don't maintain a proper cleanliness there, right? You must have been to hospital, you have seen. So again, in short, nosocomial infection is hospital acquired infection. Okay, now Global Education Monitoring Report, who publishes it? UNESCO publishes it. And what is the full form of UNESCO? United Nations Educational, Scientific and Cultural Organization, right? Okay, and why? And see, the thing is, UN SDG 4 is related to Global Education Monitoring Report. Why? Because UN SDG 4 talks about inclusive. What is UN SDG 4? SDG 4, that is to ensure inclusive and quality education for all and to promote lifelong learning. So that is UN SDG 4, right? Remember this, UN SDG 4 is related to education. Even if you don't remember what is UN SDG 4, just remember UN SDG 4 is related to education. And Global Education Monitoring Report is published by UNESCO. And ASEAN plus 6. So ASEAN plus 6 is ASEAN. I have earlier also told you the mnemonics for ASEAN. ASEAN mnemonic is BPLTV mimics, right? BPLTV MMICS, right? So that is Brunei, Philippines, Laos, Thailand, Vietnam, and mimics is Myanmar, and other M is Malaysia, I is Indonesia, C is Cambodia, and S is Singapore. So 10 countries of ASEAN. Plus 6 are China, Japan, South Korea, Australia, New Zealand and India. So these are ASEAN plus 6. So ASEAN and plus 6 is China, Japan, South Korea, Australia, New Zealand and India. And there is also ASEAN plus 8. So all these plus 6 plus US and Russia, then it becomes ASEAN plus 8. Okay. So this was all about GS paper 2, second part of November 2013. Fine. So we'll talk about the other important articles in the third video, right? Okay. Thank you.